Latina women are among the fastest growing entrepreneurial groups in the U.S., but my next guest says they're largely ignored when it comes to business advice and resources. Her book, Jefa in Training, aims to change that. Please welcome to New Day author Ashley Stoyanov Ojeda. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here on the couch. What inspired you to write this book?
Oh man, so many things,
I
but
bet.
I will tell the short version for everyone's sanity. So I accidentally started a very fast-growing socialpreneurship venture right outside of college. It was an international nonprofit organization called Women Crush Music that inspired, educated, and connected women songwriters all across North America. And I talk a little bit about that journey in my book, but essentially while I was growing this organization, I looked to every business book, podcast, articles under the sun, and I realized that I had a really hard time relating to anyone who was writing these books because they were written by, most of the time, people with a lot of financial privilege who say things in these business books like, well, my dad gave me $1 million and starting a business is easy
Yeah.
and you can do it too. And I'd be reading this like, well, my dad's not going to give me $1 million. And, you know, the truth is it doesn't work that way for most of us. So at some point in my journey, I thought about how cool it would be if someone like me wrote a book about the mistakes that they made, the actual step-by-step process to building a nice foundation for your business. And then, you know, life happened, and there was a combination of being ready for my moment and being at the right time in the right place. And I got offered a book deal, and I thought, well, maybe that person to write this book is me.
And there you have it. And what's so cool, when I was flipping through it, it's almost like a workbook too. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to make it a workbook because the truth is we consume so much content all the time, especially now with like these short form videos that we're all consuming all the time, podcasts, this, that. And I feel like sometimes we can read and read and read and read and read, but if we're not actually putting pen to paper and writing things down, we're not giving ourselves the time to process anything that we're learning. And that's the case for me. Like, I'm a huge journaler,
So
I'm a huge note taker.
To retain information, that's what I always need to do.
Exactly. And so it was really, really important for me to not just provide inspiration and provide the steps, but also give people a place to actually write down and put what they're learning into action.
Definitely. And it's a mix too of Spanish and English too. So why was that such a choice as well when writing this book?
You know, the choice to do it in Spanglish was
Spanglish, I guess.
really intentional because this book, you know, will be helpful to anyone who wants to start and grow their business, right? But I really wanted for Latinas to feel seen. Because I didn't see that in the business resources that I grew up reading, right? And I feel like Spanglish, for most of us who are first generation or immigrants to this country, it just feels natural for us, you know, to just throw in some Spanish words when we're talking to each other. It's just natural. And at the time I was actually living in Miami, and, you know, Spanglish is just the way, the way over there. So it was just a very natural thing. And I really wanted people to feel seen while they were reading it.
Yeah. And along with being seen, is there, you know, you talk about the importance of representation in your book, and how do you think this book will impact women of color and first-gen entrepreneurs, you know, and beyond?
So the book is not only a step-by-step guide to launching and growing a business, but it also has stories from other successful Latina entrepreneurs amongst the pages. And so I did that very purposefully because I wanted people to not just be like, well, Ashley is writing this business book and she's the only person who knows how to do this correctly and her way is the only way. Like, that's not true at all. I actually believe that there's no one right way to grow a business, and I hope that people can read these other stories and feel, you know, that there's a good amount of representation. They can see themselves in all of these stories, or at least one of them, right?
And feel inspired.
Exactly. And I really just want them to feel like, well, if Ashley did it and Anna did it and Julissa did it, like, and Melissa did it, then maybe I can do it too.
Yeah. And what do you think are some of the challenges that are unique to Latinas in the entrepreneurial space that you want to talk about?
I think more than anything, and I don't know if they're probably not unique to Latinas, but mainly a lot of first-gen and underrepresented entrepreneurs, the lack of resources that we have when we're first starting out. You know, as I mentioned, most of us are not trust fund babies, right? We don't have friends and family like handing us money to start our businesses. A lot of us are first generation, and so our parents, even if they are entrepreneurs, you know, maybe they didn't have the business resources to be able to grow their businesses, like classes that are out there or books that are out there or mentors to help them. And of course, like the lack of funding for, you know, these businesses is crazy. It's crazy. And Latina entrepreneurs, while we're the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs, we are the least funded.
That's wow.
Yeah.
Shocking. What advice would you have just to someone that's maybe starting their entrepreneurial journey and might even feel like they don't really belong in that space?
I will say that the reason that we feel this way is because there's not enough people like us doing what we want to do. So if anything, I hope that this book can be a call to action for more Latinas to go out and start that project, take that risk, even if you feel like everything in the world or the country is telling you not to do that right now, do it. Because we need more of us telling our stories, starting our businesses, especially right now.
Yes. Okay, what's next? We got to get that in. You have another book, right? You said you're working on.
So many things. So I'm working on a book right now as part of a series. It's the Book of Awesome series. And so I'm working with my co-author, Myrtle Peña Calderon, and we're working on a book called The Book of Awesome Latinas, and it's going to highlight about 88 Latinas throughout history who have really made impactful contributions, and that should be coming out in fall 2025. And I also will be in a few other cities, so stay tuned, follow me on socials, and hosting a really fun retreat in Mexico that I hope people will ask more about.
Definitely. Thank you so much for being here. It was amazing hearing from you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. And of course, if you'd like to hear more about Ashley and her journey and her work with underrepresented entrepreneurs, she has a book event tonight, January 23rd at Elliott Bay Book Company.